it can be done though.
All right, cool. All right. So
Yeah,
keep
we're live.
monitoring IG DMs too. People want that chat.
Oh,
Chat GPT.
I'm in on it.
Are we good? We're loaded up everywhere?
We're live.
We're live. We're live everywhere.
Yeah, tell everybody hello.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are live. Welcome to another episode of the Mirabella Mindset. Today, we're going to be talking about who, not how. And fortunately and unfortunately for some people, business is more about self-development and about who you are as a person and as a business owner. So it's crucial that before you enter into a business, like before you become a salon owner, before you become a suite owner, you build the character, the discipline, you build the person who deserves to be successful. Those personal habits and your self-development, if you start trying to build a business and start trying to become a leader and you don't have the fundamentals of who you really need to be in order to deserve to be successful, it will crumble. And from firsthand experience, I've tried to be an entrepreneur my whole entire life. And I've taken the courses, the classes, and I kept on trying to open different businesses. But the one thing I wasn't focused on was myself. I wasn't focused on the person who deserved to be successful. And when I made that change, when I really started paying attention to my self-development and paying attention to the who, not the how, everything started falling into place. And I'm nowhere near where I want to be in life. I'm nowhere near where I'm going to be in life, but I'm in a much better position now than I was last year and the year before. And every day I get closer and closer to that goal because I'm able to now deal with certain things in my business that I wasn't really prepared for emotionally, physically, financially, with my discipline than I was in my 20s and my 30s. And it really does start with the how. Because everyone comes to me, and whether you're a coaching client or a friend, and you're thinking about opening a salon or you're struggling with something, like how do I open an online store? How do I onboard people? How do I get 2 salons? How do I get 3 salons? And it's really the person who does it, not how they do it. Because to get from where you are now to where that destination is in your mind, everyone's goals are going to be a little bit different. And so the how I did it, right? The how I got there might be different than how you're going to get there. It doesn't mean your path is wrong. It's your path that is designed specifically for you and who you are. And so when you grow your business and you grow your salon, you have a particular brand and a culture. And that's how you build your team. You build your team really off of your core values of a leader. And then you instill that into the salon. And it's so important that you actually stand for something. Like, what do you stand for as an owner? And if you don't stand for anything, then you're going to bend at the will of every stylist in your salon. And as a stylist, if you're going into a salon, what do you stand for? Who are you? And then you're going to bend at the will for your salon. Like, what kind of vision do you have? Like, are you going to change what your vision is and what your trajectory is and be influenced by other people in the salon? Like, you had big goals and big aspirations to become this educator or this celebrity star or work runways. And now because of who you're hanging out with in the salon, you're starting to change and they're affecting you and your true vision. Well, you can't let that happen. So a person who has a strong mindset and they have strong values and an indomitable will, they will achieve anything. And when it came down to the pandemic, I hate talking about this, but people just shut their salon down. And it was a real test of character for some people. I opened a salon up. I learned skills that I needed to learn when it came to the Constitution and the New Jersey State Constitution to allow me to open a PMA. And it was like, who am I? What kind of owner am I? And then I was able to meet the how and open up a new salon. So I made it possible. But I want to go back even further in my life. I was always an avid drinker. I would say probably 13, 14, I started working at a restaurant. And I would have a drink with the guys after work. I was a kid. Like, literally, I was a child at 13 or 14. And we would just crack a beer, and it was cool. Like, I would just drink with them. And I'm not saying that was like the catalyst that maybe I was never like an alcoholic. It didn't affect my life. But now looking back at how far I've come in the past year since I've stopped drinking, maybe it was the deterrent. So if you're an owner or if you're a stylist, you're opening a suite or anyone in business, to be honest with you, like, what are the habits you have? What are the daily actions you have that truly affect your decisions that you make and who you are as a person? Because you at 100% and then you at 100% being hungover aren't the same type of person. So take a look at, like, what is your relationship with alcohol and drugs? That's a huge thing when it comes to the who and the how. Like, who are you? What do you stand for? What are your habits? What do you do every day? Like, do you rely on alcohol to get you out of a situation in your life that you can't really face? Is that what you're choosing to drink for? Or are you just a celebratory drinker? Like, do you just drink because you want to celebrate and you enjoy it? They're both detrimental to your success if they're not controlled, honestly. And the reason why I'm bringing this up is quitting alcohol and to stop drinking had a direct impact on my growth. And if you're struggling right now and you're having like hurdle after hurdle after hurdle and you're not able to get ahead, take a look at what you're doing. Are you drinking too much? Do you party too much? Our industry has a lot of alcohol involved with it. There's a lot of cocaine use. There's a lot of drug use. And I think that we became to like the legalization of marijuana and cannabis, they think it's okay now because it's legal that you could smoke every day. But what's that doing for you? Like, how's that helping you out? And there's 3 questions I ask every team member that I bring on my team, every person that I start coaching with, anyone really that wants advice from me. And I ask them, what experiences do you want to have in life? And the most important question I ask next is, what kind of person do you need to become to make those experiences possible? And that's the magic. That's the magical question. What kind of person do you need to become to make those experiences possible? And when I was given those questions to myself and I thought about it, I'm like, well, who is this person that deserves to be successful? Like, how can I become that person? And I look at like the Tony Robbins, the John Maxwell, the Gary Vaynerchuk, Dan Martell, and you look at some of these people that are, are bigger coaches in the industry of the coaching world. And like, what are their habits? What do they do? How do they show up every day for themselves and for their team? Like, I'm not sure if you guys saw the documentary on Netflix. I'm Not Your Guru with Tony Robbins. It's a great documentary. I suggest you all watch it. It gives you better clarity on exactly who he is as a person. And I started really diving into his self-development stuff back in my 20s. And I was doing all the things, right? I was doing my hour power in the morning, but I was missing something. Right? I was still using alcohol and drugs. And I still wasn't fully committed to becoming the person who deserved to be successful. And I think, honestly, the biggest thing that happened in my life, obviously, was the birth of my daughter. And one day I was sitting on the couch, and obviously as a man, like, you are the breadwinner of the family, and like there's designated roles, and I'm not going to really go too deep into that. But as a man, you feel the need to really provide for your family, and there's a lot of pressure there. And I'm sitting there and I'm drinking. I like bourbon. I'm sipping on it. I'm probably like 4 or 5 bourbons into the evening, and I was like, what if something happened, and I had to drive to the hospital right now? I was pretty tanked. I wouldn't really be able to provide for my family the safety and protection that I needed to. And that will trickle into the next day at work. And that will trickle into, into my whole entire reason for being around here and wanting to support my family. And how you do anything is how you do everything. And if I can't provide for my family, I'm not talking financially, but with safety and protection, having to drive somewhere to pick something up for my daughter, being the man that she's seeing every single day, so she has a role model. She has an idea of what kind of man she should marry. Is that the kind of man I want her to marry? A man who drinks on the couch and is sloppy drunk, who's not really showing up 100% the next day? No. So the birth of my daughter was really the catalyst for me that got me thinking about, who am I? Like, who is this person? Why am I falling short on my goals year after year? Like, I have huge goals and I'm doing 80% of it. But in today's world, 80% is not enough. 80% really doesn't get you anywhere, because there's people out there doing 110%. And they have leverage by using a team. They're using technology. They're showing up every single day at 100%, not hungover. So I had to compete with that. Like, is that why my salon's failing? Because I'm not showing up the way I should? And I made that decision based on my daughter and how I want her to perceive what a man is, to quit drinking. And doing that, I was really able to dial in my coaching business and dial in my salon. And I was working way harder than I am right now, like struggling to pay the bills and trying to figure everything out because I had no clarity. I was hungover and I was always like just a little off. And it wasn't like I drank every day, but that 1 or 2 drinks here and there, you drink on the weekend, that trickles into like Monday, Tuesday being hungover and not feeling well. Like, I just cut that out of my life. And then I really started like dialing things up. If you guys scroll back on my social media, you're going to see me show up a couple weeks and then disappear, and show up a couple days and disappear. Since May 20th of last year, which is my birthday, when I decided to quit drinking, I've shown up every single day. And now with this podcast and this particular live that I do every day, I'm on every day at 12. And I can't commit to the people who I want to support and add value to, which is you guys watching right now, which is my salon team, which is any of my coaching clients, which is also my family and my wife, if I'm off. I took a look at the highest level of athletes in the world, and how do they show up? How do they show up during game time? And I was watching the documentary, James, The Last Dance with Michael Jordan. James, you see that ever?
Yeah, it's phenomenal.
It's phenomenal. And like, do I show up like Michael Jordan? Like, I know that sounds crazy, but how are you showing up in your salon?
Well, I think one of the most powerful statements in that whole documentary was when, everybody, all of his teammates were on the documentary, and they're like, yeah, we hated Michael. Like, we couldn't stand the guy, but he demanded greatness from us. Like, he made us all better and pushed us to the levels that we needed to be at to win those championships. And I'm forever grateful, even though at the time I hated him. And, like, it brought Michael Jordan to tears hearing his teammates say that. But he even said, he's like, I wanted the best for everybody. It was never out of...
When I watched that, I didn't think he was being a dick at all.
I heard he was a dick, but...
Yeah, but if you brought a certain level of excellence...
Yes.
But he would never ask you to do anything he wouldn't do himself.
100%.
So how is he a dick? Like, you want to win championships, right? This is what I loved about it. When he was talking about losing games in order to get a better pick in the draft, like, I love the fact that we're not losing. And if you look at, because I don't watch basketball, I don't watch sports really. And the fact that they would come back at the end of the game and have like that last winning shot in the last 5 seconds, like, if you don't bring that level of energy to your salon, like somebody else is down the street, and you're not going to be able to survive. Like, ask yourself right now, if you guys are in a salon and you're struggling, why are you struggling? How's your marketing? Where are you getting clients from? How are you showing up for your team? Are you doing the one-on-ones? Are you doing a great consultation? Are you following up with your clientele? Do you have an email campaign going out, checking in how their salon visit was? Like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing to make sure your salon is leaps and bounds above anybody in your community?
What standards are you setting?
Yeah.
How
and so that's a good question. That's a great question. What standards are you setting? You guys, you don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the level of your systems, and your systems create the standard in your salon. So a lot of owners I talk to, like, they can't take a vacation. If they leave for 2 weeks, the salon falls apart. They don't make money outside of them working behind the chair. That's not owning a business. You own a job for yourself. Like, become a business owner. Become the who. Who owns a business? Like, think of the world out there. Who are these people that own multi-million-dollar, billion-dollar companies? Do they really work and create the products? Not really. Like, they don't. They work on the business. They work on the team. They work on the leadership team. They make sure that everything's being done properly by leading properly. If you're not a significant leader in your salon, if you wouldn't want to duplicate yourself, then you're already doing something wrong. So what I ask people when I first started talking to them is, if you had a salon full of 10 people like you, would you be successful? Would you want that? And at first they say yes, right? Everyone's like, yeah, I would like to duplicate myself. But really, would you? Because I know a lot of salon owners that want everyone to be there 15 minutes on time, or 15 minutes early, I should say, and they don't show up on time. They don't post on social media, yet they know their team should be doing it to build an audience and a following so they could build a clientele and have some kind of a funnel generating new business for them. But they don't do that, right? They ask their team to show up in certain ways that they're not showing up. And how you do anything is how you do everything. How are you showing up for your family? How are you showing up for your wife? How are you showing up for your kids? How are you showing up for your staff? How are you showing up for your clients? If you're repeatedly late, like, that's not showing up for your clients. Like, how do you raise your prices and justify $500 for a highlight when you show up late and you don't give it 100%? You can't. And that's why you feel guilty about charging the prices you think you should be charging, because you're not giving it 100%. So I want you guys to think about who you are. Like, who are you? Like, what kind of owner are you? What are you asking from your team? Are you showing up the exact way, if not better than you're asking them to show up? Like, I don't ask my team to do anything I wouldn't do. Like I have 5 non-negotiables for my salon team. And I just want them to be completing 2 out of the 5. That's all. That's all you have to do in order to maintain the membership in my PMA as a stylist. If they can't do that, then you can't work here. It's very simple. If they did all 5, every single person on my salon team would be making an extraordinary amount of money. Their life would be phenomenal. They would be in a better headspace. They would be physically fit. They would have more business acumen. They would have more financial fitness. They would have more physical fitness. Their clientele would grow exponentially from where it is now. Their social media presence, their circle of influence would be so dynamic and so big that if they wanted to create a product, they would be able to sell it just off an Instagram post. So what I ask my staff to do is exactly the stuff that I do, but I only require a few of the things that I do. And they could pick and choose what they want to do, what really suits them. But as an owner, you have to be able to do everything. And so if you can't do a short haircut and you're an owner and you want to provide every service in your salon, you better learn how to do short haircuts, because if you want your staff to be able to do every service in your salon, whether it be highlights, lowlights, short haircuts, pixies, men's haircuts, like there's something happening in our industry right now where I understand like focusing and niching down on particular services is important. But if you're an owner of a salon and somebody has a bad experience there, it's truly up to you to be able to step in and fix that haircut or that color. And if you can't, you're an incomplete owner. And I don't care whose feelings I hurt, but you are. I can do every service as an owner. Whether my perms that I roll aren't that good because I have a team that rolls perms. Now, if you're exceptional, if you just do cutting or you just do coloring and you can't cut hair, then, or you don't cut hair, then you need to have somebody on your team that is in a leadership position that you have filled that void for you. But if you pick up a pair of scissors on a client and you cut hair and you choose not to cut short hair because it scares you or you're not good enough at it, then you are a failure as a hair cutter. If you only choose to do certain types of color and you can't do every kind of color, you're not a hair colorist. Then you're a failure as a colorist. So if you want to pick and choose and you just do one type of thing in that sector, I'm sorry, but niching down is one thing, but being afraid to do a particular service, if you do cut hair, but you pick and choose what kind of haircuts you do, you're a failure at it. And you could leave a comment and let me know what you think about that, but that's 100% fact. So you are not the who. You're just in this for the money and you're not actually developing the discipline to learn every technique in your craft. You're not mastering it. So when I, like to get back to my whole, my journeys throughout my life, when I started owning a salon, I said to myself, like, shit, if someone comes in and they had a bad experience here, I got to be able to do every haircut. And so one of my partners, she was phenomenal cutting hair. She was Sassoon trained. I used to watch her cut hair. And like, I started like really like studying what she was doing. And then we had a barber. It was the original owner of the salon. And he was cutting women's haircuts too, short haircuts. And I knew how to cut men's haircuts. I saw her techniques. And I started piecing together my own version of how to do a graduated bob, my own way of cutting short hair. In the beginning, it wasn't really great, I'll be honest with you. But as I developed the skills and I became the person who knew how to cut hair, whether it was long or whether it was short, I was a more complete owner. And I got the confidence to really show up for my team. Because if you can't show up for your stylist who looks up to you as an owner and you can't step in and guide them through that haircut, what kind of respect do they have for you? Where can you lead them in this industry? So I know it scares you to cut short hair. I know it scares you to do certain things, but as an owner, you have to be proficient at every aspect of this craft. I'll be honest with you. If you want to grow a team, they have to be able to look at you and they have to really, truly think that you are amazing at everything. And that inspires them. And then they feel like they're supported and they can trust you. And that falls into every area of life. And so if you're not showing up for yourself, if you're the type of person that says, you know what, tomorrow's the day that I quit smoking, I quit drinking, I quit eating like shit, I'm going to the gym, and you wake up tomorrow morning and you don't go, you just lie to yourself. What do you think that does for your self-confidence? What do you think that does for the vibration you're putting off into the universe? You're lying to yourself. You've made an agreement with yourself and you can't even hold up to your end of the deal with yourself, the most important person in the world, which is you. If you can't love yourself enough, how can you give enough love away? How can you give enough respect away if you don't respect yourself? If you think about it, why are you so negative? If you're a negative person, if you always look at the glasses of half empty, why are you like that? Is it because you're not showing up for yourself when you know you should? That's an important question you have to ask yourself. Like, why does your team not trust you? Why does your team not respect you? Is it because you don't respect yourself? Did you guarantee something to your team and you didn't show up for them? Did you say we're going to do this and do that and we're going to start having classes? I mean, I do it. Like, I promise my team sometimes and I fall short. I promise my partners things and I'm like a week late on things. Nobody's perfect. But why are you not showing up the way you should? Did something else get in the way? Is there a reason for it? Now, if your reason is just an excuse, then it's just an excuse. And after a while, no one's going to respond to you and respect you anymore. If you have a valid reason and you show up in every area of life a certain way and something does happen, people will take that excuse and they'll acknowledge it. But after so many times, they're not going to acknowledge it. So it is all about the who, not the how. So I want you guys to take a piece of paper out. And this is called the habit and actions audit. If you're on this chat right now, or you're watching this on any other like Instagram, or you're watching on YouTube or whatever, and you're watching it after the live, DM me the word habits. If you're watching it live right now, DM me the word habits right now. And I'm going to send you a habits and actions audit that I do personally to get an idea of what's going on in my life. And I did this habit and actions audit after I wound up getting arrested years ago. Wrong crowd, wrong place, wrong time. We won't get into that story. It's on an earlier post. And I took an account of everyone I hung out with, all my actions I was doing, and I made a list. And I had my goals in my heart and in my mind, but I wrote my goals down on this piece of paper. At the top of it, right below it, I put to and I put away. And I wrote down all the actions and all the habits, all the people I was talking to, all the self-talk that I had, and I made a list. Was this self-talk, was this person, was this habit, was this action, was this thing bringing me towards my goal or away from my goal? And on that list, if you had a name and you were my friend and you were not supporting me getting to my goal and you were taking me away from my goal, you went on that away list. And then I cut everything out of my life that was bringing me away from my goals. And then when I made that decision to only focus on things that were bringing me towards my goals, that was the first step of me heading in the right direction and achieving great success. And I've done hair, and I did hair at this time for probably on and off for 10 years of my life. It's 18, maybe more than that. I was always in and out of salons, hanging out with the wrong crowd, doing the wrong thing, looking for easy money. And I said to myself, like, how much longer can I go on like this, being this person? And I made a decision to be the man that I admire so I can give him to the world. And that's when I really started kind of creating and crafting this version of me, like phase one. And it worked. Like James, you remember back in the day, right? Me and James have been friends for a long time. When I first opened the salon.
Oh, he did nothing. I didn't see him at all.
That's all I did.
It's literally all he did.
And I realized that I need to become an expert at doing hair, and I dove headfirst into it. If you're opening a salon and you don't dive into every piece of information, hire the best mentors, get the coaches, get the courses, read the books, listen to the podcast. If you're not obsessed with success and becoming the best owner and the best version of yourself, you are going to not be as successful and be very dissatisfied at the result. Because there's somebody out there who's super hungry and is going to have the team that you wish you had. But they can attract the team because they are the person who deserves that team. And so I became that person. And I think from January is when I decided I opened the salon. And from January to September, I went from $400 a week to over $4,000 a week behind the chair, just myself booking, doing, law of attraction, meditation, vision boards, all that stuff. But I worked every day. I showed up every day. I went to the gym every day. I got in a flow state. I made sure I showed up for my clients. I made sure I was at the salon day and night. And then within a year's time, I was doing anywhere from like $25,000 to $30,000 a month in 1 year, back behind the chair again, dedicating everything I had to this craft. And this is why I love this industry. And this is why I got into coaching, because I feel like people get into this industry and they give up on it. And the main thing you need to focus on is you. Like, you think the industry is going to bring you success. No, you're going to attract success. That's what happens. When you're an owner and you're dialed in on every aspect of your life, you attract success into your life. So it starts with you. And you become the type of person who believes they can do it. And then you actually take action and do it. And you start believing yourself, because when you say you do something, you do it. You don't doubt yourself because you know you have follow through. And then things start happening to you, and you start putting yourself in situations and in conversations where you actually open doors for yourself. And people don't mind opening doors for you and introducing people because they respect you and trust that you're going to follow through with your word. And that's what's important. And that's how you grow a business. That's how you grow a salon. And it happens with trust. But unfortunately, a lot of people, they don't do the who. They're just looking for the how. And they have all these ideas and they're trying to find different shortcuts and different ways to grow a salon and these like new techniques on what they should do. And it never works out because they didn't start with themselves. And I'll tell you guys, it starts with you. It starts with your mindset. It starts with your vision. And it starts with becoming the person you admire to give them to the world. And when you do that, everything else falls into place. And no matter what happens, like you're going to open a salon, you might open two, you might try different things in business, right? And there's always going to be the what if. Well, Nick, what if this happens? What if that happens? What if this happens? What if you train your staff and they leave? Even if I train my staff and they leave, even if my salon gets shut down, even if this happens, even if that happens, I know I'll make it. So that's the whole thing about becoming the who. It doesn't matter. The how is easy. Like it's like success leaves clues. Everybody out there who has a busy salon with a great team, like you can see the blueprint that they did. You just watch what they do on Instagram, watch what they do in business, go talk to them, get a cup of coffee with them. They can show you the how. But the reason why it's not working for you is you're not focused on the who. When you focus on the who, the how's simple. So the what if doesn't even matter because I know even if, I'll make it. Even if I go broke right now, my daily habits will lead me to somewhere else that I can become successful with. That's why it's important that you guys focus on the who. James, are there any questions in the chat? Guys,
we do. I just want to confirm to everybody, like Nick said, we've known each other for a long time. And before he was in the salon, he was a maniac. Like, he was nuts. For him to make this change and do what he did was not something that many people would be willing to do.
Guys, I would go with James. We were going on like a 5-day bender down the shore.
Party so
like
hard.
we went down the shore for 1 day. 5 days later, we're still down the shore.
Came back on Thursday.
Stayed at different houses.
Yeah.
I mean,
Nick lost his phone.
Thousands of dollars I would spend in a night.
Wild.
Bars. It was nuts.
Wild.
Like you guys, like when you watch a movie about like rock stars, like that was me from 20 years old to 35 years old.
No, more than that because we were partying heavy into my mid-20s. I stopped partying at like 26. Like we went from like when I was 22.
Yeah, I opened, but I think I opened the salon around 35. Actually, no, 30. When did I get arrested? Like 32, 33?
No, it was I think it was like 34.
Yeah, right around then. And that's when I pumped the brakes a little bit.
But we got after it. Like we fell asleep in parking lots after party.
Oh, and drive-thrus.
Drive-thrus.
In the middle of a drive-thru, waiting to get McDonald's, falling asleep like a fucking degenerate.
Fell asleep in the diner
So
afterwards.
no matter what you did in the past, it's the past. You have the ability to flip the page and write the new chapter of your life.
100%.
If you guys are focusing on the past and you're trying to rewrite a new chapter of your life and you're rewriting it on the old chapter, the old words, the old you, it's going to become unclear. You're not going to have clarity. It's going to be convoluted with all the old memories and all the old ideas of who you were. No, flip that page, start a new chapter. It doesn't matter what happened yesterday. All that matters is now. So if you're the type of person like, I tried, it didn't work out. I had a drug problem. I had a drinking problem. I was a failure. It doesn't fucking matter. Today starts a new chapter of your life. Today you flip the page and you begin on the journey to become the new you. That's all you need to do. James, hop into a question real quick if you could.
So HC3 Fades, is drug testing employees at a salon/barbershop too much?
That's a great question. So when you hire the right team and you have the right onboarding process, you won't have to. What they do in their own free time is really none of your business as long as it doesn't trickle into work. The second you have an idea the second somebody's work habits and how they function in the salon or the barbershop is not to your liking or to 100% of what you guys agreed upon, they would show up and deliver, then you just let them go. Like you have to show up one way as an owner. They have to show up one way as a stylist or a barber. And if that's not happening, it's time for them to go. That's it. There's no drug testing. If they can handle themselves and they want to partake in whatever cannabis or whatever they want to do, and it doesn't affect their work, which is very rare, then who cares? But the second it affects their work, they got to go. And drug testing is just, I don't know. I wouldn't do it. You can do it. Like, I'm not saying don't. But the second I hire someone, I know they're a good fit. And if you hired someone because you're thinking about the money and you're not hiring because of the character and the hunger, well, then there's going to be a problem there. That was a good question, though. A lot of people ask that question about drug testing.
Next, Tahoe Park Hair. She puts, Nick, what if I feel solid as an individual, but you have a partner who is struggling with issues and their issues detract from your ability to be 100% in my business?
Wow, that is a great question. So I had a partnership, and the partnership ended. We had different visions and different views, and great kid. Like, I mean, we don't talk much anymore. His father, I love. I think, he was a huge impact on my life by giving me the opportunity of opening a salon, and all the love in the world for him. But we just had to go separate ways because I had a different vision, and it was like we had to end it. And so if something changed in your partnership, and if you're feeling like you guys don't support each other 100%, have the conversation. Like, what's on the other end of that conversation that you haven't had yet? Like, did you have that conversation with her yet or him yet? And you have to make sure you're showing up at a certain level and you guys have your non-negotiables. So I would sit down with them like, hey, here's how I think we need to show up together. Like, is this still our vision? Right? Make sure you guys have the conversation about what your goals are, what your visions are. Is it still the same? And if it is, then you have to have some kind of non-negotiables for you and for her or for him. And then you have to have daily check-ins or weekly check-ins or monthly check-ins. I like to have the daily check-in or the weekly check-in. And I pretty much, Anthony is my partner in a lot of stuff behind me here, like the online store. And, we have negotiated some contracts and what we have to do. But like, we check in every day. What's going on? We should have a more set, like, structured meeting, but we do our daily check-ins, right? And then I have my check-ins with my other partners, which also should be more structured. But I hired them for character. Like, I partnered up with them based on their character and their trust. And so I never have to worry about that. So where's this person's character lie? And was it great at one point in time and now it fell off? Do they have a drinking problem, a drug problem? Do you love this person enough to really step in and save them from themselves? Like, take the business out of it. And if this person is in a downward spiral and it's affecting your business, A, you have to step in because you have family. But B, is it affecting their life? And do you love this person enough to have the hard conversation with them? Because it may definitely disrupt your relationship, but that's not you. That's their fault. So if they're falling short and it's affecting their personal life and your business life, not having that conversation is doing that person a disservice. So first, align with the vision. Are you both on the same page? Then align with the actions needed by each party in order to make that vision come true. And at any given time, when one person's falling short on that, they need to be corrected right away. And each person has to correct that person. And you have to hold each other to a higher standard. Was that a good answer, James?
That was a fantastic answer.
Cool. Good.
Autumn Cheese says, have you ever taken the DISC assessment?
I have, actually, and I have my answers for it in my Evernote. I forget what it was. I think I was like a double I, if I'm not mistaken. I did it when I did the Tony Robbins coaching, and me and Tony have the same letters, which I was very impressed with. And my coach at the time was, and she would always go back to that DISC assessment. She's like, that's because you're this one, that letter, and that letter. And it made a lot of sense, the DISC assessment. But I don't give it, I give it a little bit of like a water, but you can change who you are. You evolve as a person as you progress through life. But there's definitely some validity to the DISC assessment. Definitely. I got to take a look at my answers. I'm glad you brought that up. If you're Autumn, I know you're going to be coaching. And so come up with your own version of that, right? If you can get certified in that, that's huge. There's a lot of companies that will do it and you could like get the software for it. But that's a fun thing to do to really get into the mind of the person you're coaching. You don't need it because just through conversations and the way they answer questions, you come up with your own assessment of them. But yeah, I did the DISC assessment, but it's cool. It's fun. There's like a ton of them out there, not just that one. James, anything else?
Nope, not at the moment.
All right, cool, guys. Any questions, just drop it into the chat over here. And if you guys want that habit and action to audit I spoke about in the beginning, to really get clarity on what the hell you're doing with your life and who you're hanging out with, and is it bringing you towards or away from your goals, DM me the word habits, and I will shoot that over to you.
Everybody who put habits in the chat, just send it to the DMs,
Yeah.
not the chat, because the chat disappears and we don't know who it is. So just send us a DM.
I'm not gonna harass you that much when you DM me the word habits. I'll ask you a couple questions, but nothing crazy. It's a Google Doc, so you're gonna get sent the link, and it's gonna open up and copy right into your Google, and that way you can really take that assessment and give it to people. Like give it to your staff. Like that Google Doc I'll send you when you drop habits. See where your staff is at, and you get a chance to really, like, if they have goals, like when you do your one-on-ones, be like, all right, Barbara, you want to make $2,000 a week or $3,000 a week or $4,000 a week behind the chair? Let's take a look at how we do that. Here's your goal. What are you doing every day to get closer to that goal? And what are you doing every day to move further from that goal? And then you can really help unpack what their actions are. And then guess what that does? That builds trust with you as a leader, and you're developing people. Like if you guys read the book, The 5 Levels of Leadership, self-development is rung number 4. Like pinnacle is number 5. But you have to learn how to develop your team. Because if you don't develop your team, you're going to have a team full of people that you don't want to be around anymore. So I know it sounds like a lot of work, but it's a lot of work to have a team of misfits working your salon and trying to deal with drama. So put the work in now to develop their character so they're a better asset to your salon. But if you have a really refined hiring process and you hire on character and hunger, the rest takes care of itself. All right, James, any more questions before we wrap up today's live?
Yeah, Maribel put, Nick, as a coach, do you think disc assessments can help stylists know how they process and communicate?
Yeah, absolutely. I think disc assessments are great. And I think that understanding, we have a lot of limited beliefs and negative beliefs, right? And I think more so than a disc assessment or combining it with why they have a belief structure or a belief system that they truly like think is permanent in their mind, like that fixed mindset. Like, let's find out why their mindset's so fixed, and let's figure out some personality types that they have that you could probably uncover with that assessment to give them more clarity on how to change it and why they feel the way they feel. The disc assessment is really, really powerful when it's done right. But I feel as a coach, you want to unpack their negative beliefs and their limited beliefs around themselves of why something isn't achievable. And I'll uncover these 2 belief systems. So a negative belief typically ties to a goal. Like if I have a busy salon and I make a lot of money from my salon, that means I'm stealing from my team. Because you felt that way when you were a stylist in a commission salon and you felt your owner was stealing from you. And so now you're an owner and you feel like if you have a certain level of success, it's because you're taking too much from your team. And so you self-sabotage yourself from being successful as an owner because of your negative belief around success and what it means to be successful as an owner. And so you have to first fix that. And then there's limited beliefs, right? A limited belief is about yourself. Like, I can't be successful because I can't charge so much for a haircut because my area doesn't allow me to charge $100 for a haircut. Is that true though? Like, could nobody in the world in your area charge $100 for a haircut? Like, I'm limited because I can only work 3 days a week, so I can never make that kind of money because I'm a mom and I have to take my kids to soccer practice or whatever the hell the story is you tell yourself. No, it's not true. You can work with an assistant in 3 days and do $1,200 a day, $3,000 a week. Like, you could do whatever you want to do, but you have to get rid of the limited belief around you. And actually, are you able to make that possible? And so I don't have any limited beliefs. Like, I had plenty in my past, but I mean, James can attest to this. Like, there's nothing that someone will tell me that I can't do. Right, James? Like, there's
No, definitely. You don't want to tell Nick not to do something.
or I can't do it.
Or he can't do it.
That fuels me.
Yeah.
Right. But I've learned this a lot, guys. So if you're this type of person like I am, and like you don't really have a lot of limited or negative beliefs, and you're more of like a competitive business person, like someone tells you can't do something, so you're going to prove them wrong. That's just as dangerous as having a negative belief and a limited belief. So if you're doing something in business to prove somebody wrong, like you have a chip on your shoulder, I'm going to prove that person wrong who told me I couldn't open a salon and be successful. I'm going to prove this person wrong. What begins to happen is you're not clear on the obstacles in front of you. And what happens is you try and keep on going through the obstacle, and you're so focused on proving that person wrong rather than what is your true goal and your reason why. And sometimes you lose the focus and the ability to just pivot slightly in order to go around the obstacle because you're so focused on proving that person wrong. And that's when it becomes detrimental to your success. So that's great to have that person fuel your fire initially, but at a certain point, it's not about them anymore. It's about your success and what you bring to the table for your team and for your family and for yourself. And so if you have that type of competitive mentality and you're trying to prove somebody wrong all the time, you have to let that go, and you have to really understand why you're doing this, and then use that for like a little fuel, like a little fire starter for you. But then at the other side of that obstacle, sometimes it convolutes your vision and your ability to sidestep an obstacle and go right around it. And you're just kind of just never ending trying to bust through it. And that's not going to support you. So at a certain time, if you have that mentality, don't live by those rules of proving somebody wrong all the time. Any more questions in the chat?
Someone said, nice cauliflower ear. Glad to see you're killing it. No questions, though.
Yeah, guys, if you look at my ear, my videos, this is not, like, I don't have a deformity. It's from jiu-jitsu. I was really competitive in my younger years at jiu-jitsu, and I trained every day.
I choked him out all the time.
No, he didn't. I definitely beat James up a lot. And so this just happened. I trained a lot of bigger guys. In fact, we trained in a garage in Bergen County. Remember that garage, James?
Gym, dude.
It was just like old garage off the back of someone's house that we would just show up and just beat the shit out of each other. Rob Leibrock, he was one of my training partners. He was a beast of a wrestler.
He was huge.
And I took him out to a fight in Michigan. I was his cornerman for that. And that was a wild weekend too. But yeah, so this is not from, it's not deformity. It's from jiu-jitsu, wrestling, boxing, stuff like that. So I loved it. I was in martial arts my whole life. I recently tore my pec, so I'm out of commission probably for like another few months until I can get back in there. But I plan on getting back into martial arts very, very actively. It was something that impacted my life and a lot of my mindset, to be honest with you. And so did the Marine Corps. So a lot of you guys, when we talk, my leadership skills and my mindset, I mean, it was ingrained in me at an early age from doing martial arts from the age of 7, from being in the Marine Corps in my 20s, and just go get them attitude and never give up. Like, that's the mentality you need if you're going to be successful. Like, if you're an athlete, if you take a look at some of the best salespeople in the world, they were really good athletes, right? Because they know what it's like to not give up and be persistent. And so there's a competitive edge in business that you need to have. And that's why there's always the comparisons between sports and business. It's very similar. The only thing in business that I want to drop before we leave this podcast today is there's an infinite game and a finite game. And business is an infinite game. So there's no set rules. There's no time limit. You could play this forever. So if you think there's a time limit and it's a finite game, it's not. So when you're doing this, just know that this is an infinite game. If you want more clarity on that, Simon Sinek wrote a book called The Infinite Game. Read that book. It's an amazing book for any of you new business owners out there. It's called The Infinite Game by Simon Sinek. He's the best. James can probably drop that in the chat real quick. The Infinite Game. And it just talks about how businesses who play the infinite game are always more successful than the businesses who have the finite game mentality. So, guys, I want to thank you all for dropping by today, joining these lives. They happen every day at 12. It is getting posted on YouTube. So if you missed any part of the live, head to the YouTube channel. You can watch the whole thing there. If you guys are challenged with really developing the habits and the skills of success and what it means in developing yourself as a business owner and the leadership skills and the business acumen, DM me the word grow. I'll see if we're a good fit for each other. We'll get in a conversation. The habits and actions audit, DM me the word habits. I'll send it over to you. And that wraps up today. We'll be back tomorrow at 12. I believe Barber Phil is coming on Tuesday, right, James? Next week?
I believe so.
And then we have Lee coming on. She's the go-to person when it comes to renters next week. She's coming on Wednesday. If you guys want to join me and hop on the podcast and add some value to the audience, please just message me. We'll coordinate a time that works for everybody. I'd love to have anybody on. I don't care if you own a suite. I don't care if you're a product line. I don't care if you are a personal trainer and you know how to help solve people's problems with shoulder pain or upper back pain. And that adds value to our community. So mind, body, and spirit, guys. You got to be truly connected on all of them in order to be successful at every level. And so if you want to be a guest on the show, I love to have people on and just kind of chop it up and see where your head's at and see where you find the most success into your life. And that really, really fuels you and empowers you to be the best version of yourself. And that's it for today. See everybody later.